All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, March 21st. We got a 7-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'll give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, keep an eye on the pinned comment. That is where all of my final plays will live. If you do want to fade me or if you want to ride with me, those plays will be listed in the pinned comment. By the way, my voice is still struggling. I think we're sick over here, so hopefully we can kind of get through this video. But if it starts to fade off or anything like that, just bear with me. We are struggling over here. In terms of last night, we'll take the cha-ching, a 4-2 night, our biggest bet of the night. Jimmy Butler over 1.5 steals plus blocks. That was a 1.5 unit play. That cashes. Aaron Nesmith under in rebounds. Jazz covering the spread. Kind of had to sweat that one out. And then the Clippers-Blazers over cash as well. Our only two losses, they weren't even full unit losses. Pacers and Pistons over half unit loss. And then Yusuf Nurkic over 3.5 assists. That was only a quarter unit play. He finishes with 3 assists there, so he comes up short. But a 4-2 night, our biggest bet hit, and then the losses were not even full units. So we'll take the cha-ching again. A nice little 4-2 night. The fun does have to stop there, as our ride of the day does not come through. Steven from Straight Fire Picks, an awesome guy. He has a great channel as well, so make sure you guys go check out his channel, Straight Fire Picks, on YouTube. He does daily picks videos as well. He has Isaac Okoro over 1.5 threes. Okoro hit one early, and I was like, all right, we're cooking with gas. Doesn't hit one for the rest of the game. So, unfortunately, the ride of the day does not come through, but a valiant effort from a man, Steven, from Straight Fire Picks. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, all you got to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me an absolute banger of a pick. I'm jumping on board with one person's play, giving you a shout out in the next video, win or loss, just like we did Straight Fire Picks here. I'm also giving you a shout out over on my socials. They're rotating throughout here, guys. Make sure to go follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We're posting tons more additional content over there if you guys do want some more player props and that type of thing. So make sure to go check it out. Ev Guy Boston posting the ride of the day as well over on Twitter. Make sure to go check that out. But let's jump into this slate here on this fine Thursday. Like I said, 7 games. We're starting off with Orlando taking on the Pelicans here. Orlando at home. Both teams playing some good basketball. New Orleans 8-2 straight up in their last 10. 7-2-1 against the spread in the last 10. Orlando in a similar boat here. 8-2 straight up and 8-2 against the spread in their last 10. The Magic have dominated this matchup. In the last 10 against one another, the Magic have covered in 8 of them and won 8 of the last 10. But I do think that I lean towards the Pelicans here. This line's already moving to 3 on some books, so if we can still get it at 2.5, I think there's some value, and I can see why someone would be on Orlando, especially with how low this total is and how low this game probably will be in terms of scoring. Why not catch 2.5, 3 points? I get that. I just think these teams are very similar in a sense, but New Orleans seems to have more of a consistent and versatile offense. So I'm going to lean towards New Orleans in this spot, minus the 2.5 points. In terms of a total, I've seen this drop down to 207 on FanDuel, meaning a lot of people are coming in on that under, and FanDuel's a little scared of that. If I'm backing New Orleans' offense to be the difference maker here, I'm actually going to kind of, stick with that and stick to my guns and lean slightly towards the over. In terms of player props, nothing major really jumps out at me here. I don't mind taking a peek at Wendell Carter Jr. over 1.5 assists. He's cashed that in 6 straight games. In 8 of his last 10, he's had 3 assists in 3 straight games here. In his last 3 games, 4, 5, and 3 potential assists. So he can easily get 2 on the season. Too, New Orleans allowing a decent amount of assists to centers, and it's probably because they got Valanciunas down there, right? Like Wendell Carter Jr. could get it, be like, all right, here I go, I'm going to take a hook shot or a layup, and it's like, oh, big boy Valanciunas down there, I can't really go through him, I'll have to kick it out. So I do think that I slightly lean towards him over 1.5 assists, but like I said, not many player props in this spot. With all the talent out there, nothing really jumps off the page because of how good some of the defense is. Like there's Zion and Brennan Ingram and stuff, like good enough players that I'm kind of, shaking in my boots to take an under, but Orlando's defense is good enough that I don't really feel comfortable taking some overs there. So that's going to be what we have for this game. Honestly, what probably has a chance of being a final play would be the spread and then maybe the total. Wendell Carter Jr., maybe, but he's not a guy that gets many assists in the first place. So taking it over an assist could be a little wishy-washy. Next up, we have Washington taking on Sacramento here. Washington 11.5-point dogs at home. Total sitting at 237 as of right now. Sacramento coming off of a win last night against Toronto. They win 123-89. So they are on a back-to-back. That's definitely worth noting. Starters didn't really play the full allotment of minutes, though. Only Keegan Murray played over 30 minutes, so maybe they do have some juice in their legs still. And that's good because though I don't think this becomes a final play, if I'm guessing here, I am going to lean towards the Kings because I just can't seem to trust Washington, who have dropped 6 straight games against the spread here. They haven't covered in 8 of their last 10 games, and it's a big number. I understand that, but Houston just beat them by, it was like 137-114, right? Houston did that. Sacramento, I think, has the ability to do that. Is it an issue that they're on a back-to-back? Probably. Sacramento on back-to-backs this year have only covered in 36.4% of games, but Washington have only covered with rest advantages over their opponent in 40% of games. So it kind of evens out in the wash there. And you have Sacramento on the road. They've covered in 62% of games. Washington at home, 31.3%. So obviously this game should be all Sacramento here. See, guys, we might die live on camera. That's what I'm talking about. The voice is going. Good thing we cut that out because YouTube would probably demonetize the video based on what I just did with this throw. But nonetheless, back to it. Sacramento here, minus the points. I don't think it becomes a final play, honestly. But in terms of a total 237, I do think Washington's transition offense has actually looked pretty good if you give them any sort of credit. And their transition defenses look terrible. Now, Sacramento's defense and offense in transition, it's kind of middle of the road here. So if this game turns towards a transition-esque game, I don't mind taking a peek at the over. My one concern is Sacramento. Are they going to be tired on the second night of a back-to-back? Potentially, but I can't see myself taking the under here, so I'll lean towards the over. And then in terms of a player prop, I'll take a peek at Kyle Kuzma. He is listed as probable on the injury report, so that's obviously worth noting. But I'll take a look at his over 22.5 points. 3 straight games he's hit this against Sacramento. He's hit it in 8 of his last 10 games. He's shooting the ball plenty of times, though his last 2 games were the lowest amount that he shot in his last 10 games or so. But if the shot attempts are there, I do think he can drop 23. He's the only one kind of doing a lot on Washington right now. So there's a player prop I'd consider, but again, you're betting on a Washington player. There's blowout potential. That may not make it into the final plays, and I'm just being honest with you. All right, guys, before we move on to the rest of the games, I do want to shout out Daily Grind Fantasy and their optimizer tool they have on their site. First off, if you guys want to check this out, you can use the link in the pinned comment, and you can also use code GUYBOSTON, get 25% off. Go ahead and check it out. This is the optimizer. What it does is for prize picks, underdog, parlay play, sleeper, all of those apps out there, the pick'em apps, it compares all of the lines that they offer to what major sportsbooks are offering, so you know the value you're getting. For example, when you head in and throw picks in on prize picks. Prize picks doesn't care about odds, right? 2 for 2, you 3x your money no matter what. Doesn't matter if it's a huge heavy favorite play or if it's underdog play. So why would you not throw in minus odds plays? For example, this Jalen Suggs on over 10.5 points, minus 151 on Pinnacle, minus 135 on DraftKings, minus 130 over on BetMGM. So it's probably a valuable play to throw in over on prize picks. They give you a % odds to hit as well based on what you're seeing from the sportsbooks odds. Go ahead and check it out, guys. Again, use that link in the pinned comment and then use code GUYBOSTON. You'll get 25% off. I use this tool all the time on our live streams. You should too. Go ahead and check it out. Daily Grind Fantasy, link in the pinned comment. Use that code GUYBOSTON. This thing is a game changer if you are over on PrizePicks. Again, link in the pinned comment, code GUYBOSTON, GUYBOSTON, spelling bee champ. All right, next up, we have the Rockets taking on the Bulls here right now. Rockets 3.5-point favorites, total at 217.5. Rockets have won a bunch of games in a row. They've won 6 straight games. They've won 8 of their last 10. They haven't had the hardest of schedules, but still, they're kind of whooping up on teams and covering. They've covered in 9 of their last 10 games as well. They are at home here for a few games, so they should be comfortable. But the negative news is the fact that, Sengun is still out. But there's tons of injuries on the Chicago side of things. Kobe White and Caruso are both questionable for tonight as well. I'm going to lean Houston for now. If those guys are out, I do like Houston has a chance to be a final play. But as of right now, with those guys playing, it probably stays as a lean. But if one of those guys is out, I do think I give a little edge to the Rockets in this spot. Chicago's been playing decent basketball as well. Now, they really haven't had a tough schedule the last few games that they've won. Washington followed it up with Portland. They only beat Portland by 3 points. That was in Chicago as well. So now Chicago's at home, on the road, going up against a Houston team that I've said it all year long, right? Really good cover team at home, terrible on the road. Houston's covered in nearly 70% of games when they are at home. So I'll take them minus the points. In terms of a total, Houston, when they are at home, they play a little bit better defense and everything, so I'm going to lean towards the under as well, 217.5. They're playing with pretty fast pace as of late, but that's because they've been playing a decent amount of home road games. 4 of their last 6 games have been on the road. Now they have a few home games in a row. I do expect them to kind of tighten up on the defensive end. When it comes to player props, I am going to be looking at Ayo Dosunmu's over 4.5 assists. He's had 2 games in a row with 9 assists and 10 assists. I don't love the matchup against Houston. That's not really what I'm banking on here. What I'm banking on is the potential assists. The guy's having double-digit potential assists pretty much all the time now. 9.8 potential assists in his last 10 games. If he gets half of those, 5 assists, he cashes the over here. So I do expect that to be the case, and especially if Caruso or Kobe White don't get the run, there should be a couple more assists to go around for Dosunmu, right? Next up, we have the Bucks taking on the Nets. This is a big spread, and Giannis is still questionable. He missed last night's game against the Celtics. I don't think that I love the Bucks if Giannis doesn't play, but there's nothing that can really get me to the Nets side of things. So I'll lean Bucks, but again, it's kind of all predicated on the fact that if Giannis plays, I do like it. If he doesn't, I'd probably stick away from this game altogether. In terms of the total here, 222.5. In terms of back-to-back situations here, the Bucks have covered in 55% of games when on a back-to-back. They're on a back-to-back here. I'll take the over as well. Not that I think Brooklyn can contribute offensively all that great, but this Bucks defense on back-to-backs I do think will struggle a little bit, and they even struggle. They've been struggling as of late, like I talked about in yesterday's video. Like, this is a Bucks defense that came out of the All-Star break playing really good defense. It's kind of faded a little bit. I do think they make a late season push. That would not surprise me, but I can't just trust that defense as of right now, so I'll lean towards the over there. In terms of player props, honestly, it's all kind of going to be dependent on the fact that if Giannis plays or not, but I do have a couple Nets that I don't mind. Don't mind taking a peek at Dennis Schroeder over 1.5 threes. Is he a great shooter? No, but he's actually had the volume as of late. Last 2 games, 6 attempts in each of those games. And I also don't mind taking a peek at Miles Mikal here over 3.5 assists. Due to the volume, he's averaging nearly, just over 6 potential assists per game. So I think that there is some volume behind there as well. And if Milwaukee's defense plays well, they'll probably swarm him, and he'll be able to kick it out and stuff like that with some more potential assist opportunities. But again, a lot of this is riding on whether or not Giannis is playing, because tough to judge Bucks games. I don't care who they're playing. When Giannis doesn't play, things just kind of go awry. Before we jump into the last 3 games of today's slate, I did want to shout out Fade Me, the store that we have here on the channel. I'm rocking the embroidered Money Gun hoodie right now, but this is the newest collection, the Money Gun button-up, the Money Gun tee. We have the hat and the hoodie. Again, I'm rocking the hoodie right now, but we have tons of cool stuff over there, guys. If you do want to support what we're doing over here and help us grow and get some great merch at the same time, consider heading over to fademe.store. Pick up some great merch at great prices. I put a lot of work into the designs and the quality of all of these things, guys. These are not just, hey, take a crappy blank t-shirt and slap a crappy logo on it that'll peel off after one wash. This is legit stuff. So if you do want to support what we're doing here and check out some great merch, go ahead, fademe.store. You can use code FADE for 10% off today. Fademe.store. Support what we're doing here and check it out. Get some great merch. Next up, we have Dallas taking on Utah. Utah covers for us last night, but they are on a back-to-back here, and this is obviously a big spread in terms of Dallas being favored by 14 points. But kind of makes sense, right? Like, this Dallas team's been playing way better basketball than the Utah team. Utah's only won 2 of their last 10 games. Dallas has won 6 of the last 10. They beat Denver. They've beat Golden State. Like, they've beat Miami. They beat a few good teams here. And in terms of last time they played, Utah won this game. So, but earlier in the year, Dallas beat them by like 50. So it's like, I do see Dallas being like, all right, we crushed you once, right? Then Utah comes in. I think they were at home, though, and they beat Dallas. Now Dallas has a revenge spot. Do I love 14 points? No. Am I confident in taking a 14-point favorite? No, but I do think this is a Dallas game here. In terms of injuries, Lauri Markkanen listed as a game-time decision, as is Jordan Clarkson, so those could be guys that they get back, obviously, but still, with Luka and Kyrie, healthy, I do think that Dallas is a team that we can back here. So again, I do think it's a Dallas game. It's a matter of if I can kind of swallow the pill of 14 points. It seems like it's a little bit too much, but I have no reason to not look at the over as well. This is a Dallas team that's obviously going to play with a fast pace and a decent efficiency, and you have Utah here on a back-to-back. They should have tired legs, so Dallas should be able to score with ease, and Utah likes to play with a fast pace as well, so I'll lean towards the over. And on that same note, I'm actually going to take a peek at Luka's over 9.5 rebounds. Seems like it's super high, and I get that, but he's cashed in 9 of his last 10 games. He's cashed in one of those games this season. He had 10 rebounds against Utah. The other game, I think he only played like 30 minutes or so. So if he plays more, I do like this spot. But in his last 20 games here, in his last 10 games here, he's only averaging 14 rebound chances. So it kind of scares me a little bit, right? But still, he's been able to cash, and he gets rebounds. Like, his percentage of hit rate when he gets rebound chances is very high. So I don't mind taking a peek at him in a high-flying, fast-paced game with what could have a lot of missed shots on Utah's side of things. I see Luka grabbing a few. Not that I'm saying I would like his like points and assists or anything like that, rebounds and assists. I think that's where it gets a little bit too high. But for plus money, his rebounds and assists could also be a look. 20.5 seems super high, I know. But for plus 105 odds, could be something that I consider as well. So keep an eye in the pinned comment, see if we roll with anything there. All right, next up, we have Denver taking on the Knicks here. Denver 9-point favorites in this one. I think I've seen that 9.5 on some books as well, so clearly moving in a direction that favors Denver in terms of what the books think's going to happen. I think it's too many points. Like, yes, I think Denver wins this game, but honestly, my lean will be Knicks plus the points here. I think that this should be like a 7.5, 8-point spread, and we're looking at 9.5 now. So, yeah, I'll lean towards the Knicks in this spot. They are the better defensive team. Denver's the better offensive team, but this Knicks offense hasn't been like terrible. They've just been kind of mid to low as of late, right? And it's not like Denver's points per game or their offensive efficiency has been great as of late. So they're the 6th best team in terms of offensive efficiency on the year, and they're great at home, but in their last 3 games, just 12. So it has kind of jumped towards the middle of the pack here. But again, I think they win this game. It's just a matter of how many points do they win by. In terms of total, 207. I have a hard time believing that this just becomes a super offensive, defensive game. So I'm going to lean towards the over just because that is such a low number. And obviously we have some talent on both sides being able to score the rock. But I get why that total is so low. I just, on one hand, my opinion is this game goes up and over. And in terms of a player prop, Jamal Murray over 6.5 assists is something that I can get behind here. He's cashed out in 51% of games this season. But if you look at it when he's at home here, he's cashed it in nearly 60% of games. And in his last 4 games at home, he's cashed that as well. He's averaging in his last 5 games here 12.3 potential assists, so he should be right around there when it comes to volume. And in head-to-head here, last time he played them, which was on the only game this season back in late January, he had 7 assists on 9 potential assists. So he already cashed it once. If he has more potential assists, this should be one that we look at. But obviously 6.5 assists is asking for a lot, but I don't mind the spot here. I also don't mind him looking at his points, rebounds, and assists either. I do think this is a pretty good Jamal Murray night. All right, next up, we have Phoenix taking on Atlanta. Phoenix, 9.5-point favorites. They are on a back-to-back here, so that's totally worth noting. On back-to-backs this year, they've covered in 50% of games, so do with that what you will, right? It's not exactly a damning stat, but it's not exactly pump air in their tires. They're coming off of a big win, a 13-point win over Philly last night here. Atlanta hasn't played in a couple days. Their last game was March 18th, and a loss against the Lakers. No Trae Young here. Looks like DeJounte Murray is good to go, though, but I still can't really get behind Atlanta. I'll take Phoenix at home, even though they're on a back-to-back here, minus the 9.5 points. In terms of a total, I do see this being able to be a good spot for Phoenix to score a decent amount of points, so I might look at a team total for them or take a peek at the over altogether. We know Atlanta plays with fast pace. They have not, as of late, in their last 10 games, actually towards the bottom here, but this is a Phoenix team that's been playing fast, so we know that Atlanta can play fast, so I kind of anticipate that happening and that being the case. Like, Atlanta has not been playing fast, but all of a sudden they start to play fast in this spot, hopefully. So I do think an over as well as a team total for the Suns could be in the cards. I also don't mind Bradley Beal's over 27.5 PRA. He's been cashing that as of late, 8 of his last 10 games. And then Devin Booker, under 2.5 3-pointers is a good spot too, I believe. This Atlanta team hasn't been terrible guarding the perimeter, and Booker, like, you're not going to get a million attempts from him, right? You'll get 5 attempts, and you need to shoot 60% to make 3 here. He's only hit over 2 threes in 1 game in his last 10. He's only hit over 2 in, I believe it was like, he's only hit over 1, in and it's actually 3 of his last 10. So 7 of those, he's actually hit 1 or less threes. Like, I just like the spot for him. I don't think he needs to necessarily shoot a bunch of threes here in this spot. So a couple player props that I don't mind for this game. But guys, it's gonna wrap for today's show. You have no idea what my like sinuses and throat and chest are going through right now. I'm surprised we battled through that, but hopefully that didn't gross you out in the middle when I legit just lost my voice. We'll cut that one out. But appreciate you guys. If you guys did make it this far into the video, go ahead and comment 19. And yeah, we're trying to battle through. We'll be good. Little sickness didn't stop us from making videos in the past. It won't now, you know. Just a little rundown. We were on vacation, a lot of drinking, a lot of everything, and then all of a sudden we come back here. The grind don't stop. Go from warm weather to cold weather. Like maybe it just all hit us in the face, right? So nonetheless, guys, comment 19 if you made it this far into the video. Appreciate you tuning in, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.